start by congratulating especially the fishing community in India, Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia who are part of the tribunal today. May I request Jesratnam to quickly come in and give the context and welcome.
So let me say that the context setting of this blue economy, our understanding of blue economy. There are three things: exploration, exploitation, and expansion. When they adopted blue economy, they wanted to explore, and then exploit, and the expansion of the existing coastal marine and activities through a legal, liberal, global trade and economic agreements. In 2009, Pundarpalli came with a report and a document, and which talks about the exploitation of the resources. There are different components in blue economy. We are going to share the ocean with all these components: tourism, oil drilling, energy. Where will the dependent community, small-scale fishing community, do their fishing?
So we are here to listen to the findings of the investigations carried out in 5 of our member countries in the Asian Continental Forum, and I see a large number of the WFFP membership on the call. So thank you for the very important invite, and we are happy to be here. We are representing the global small-scale fisheries movement, and the blue economy is very dangerous to all of our fisher folk of the world.
I believe that care has to be provided for the fishing community in very specific ways. First, they must be made to realize that they are part of this development. They cannot be excluded. And also, the benefit of the ocean must be for all, not just for one segment. Now, in building a port city, we find that is going to be a kind of a very exclusive community.
In the name of development, they are giving in Sri Lanka and India, I think everything given to the private sectors. They are allowing multi-day fishing for deep sea fishing. My understanding is only 95% of fish available up to 500 meters depth. India and Sri Lanka, in the name of blue growth, in the name of blue economy, everything is going to the private sector.
Over to the presentations, Ms. Gandhimati, who is the principal coordinator or the senior researcher in the research team, will be making the presentation.
The Sri Lanka had adopted the blue-green economy. If you see the timeline, it started in 2013, and then formally Sri Lanka launched the blue economy in 2016. There are 3 major policies under blue economy. Number 1 is the National Physical Plan. Then if you see the megapolis development, they are also promoting metropolitan cities. Blue economy, as far as we are concerned, is an extension of ongoing neoliberalism as an accumulation strategy of finance capital backed by the state, promoting free markets and private corporates within and outside the country to the benefit of an emerging oligarchy and creating new forms of social exclusion. The constitutional amendment must be ensured. There should be devolution of powers and funds to Northern Province, and local self-government should be ensured. The research is needed on the impact of Port City project, industrial fishing and aquaculture. Then the revisiting of policies and legal provisions to ensure the inclusion of small-scale fishers and women fish workers. Finally, reparation packages to the victims of development projects in the name of blue economy to be ensured through legal backup.
Hello and greetings to everybody present here. I am N.V. Subramaniam, Chairperson of Northern Provinces Fisher People's Union. I would like to start by saying that we find ourselves in a difficult position even after the end of the 37 years of war. The government has permitted the use of huge fishing trawlers, and when Indian fishing boats are invading in thousands, They arrest a few and put up a show to the world. They have been permitted to the use of dynamites for fishing, and once dynamites are used, a lot of fishes dies, but they carry only 35% of the kill and leave the rest 65 of the dead fish to rot. By these activities, the fishermen are left with no income, and I have my doubt that indirectly the government is pushing the fishermen community towards some other profession. The small and limiting fishing area of Tamils in north is eventually being invaded by the people from the southern province with the authorization of Sri Lankan government and support of its military forces. These people from south are indulging in illegal fishing activities with the help of military in place like Mullaithivu. Post-war, the government has not initiated anything to provide a steady livelihood for the female fish workers of north, which curbs their financial independence. Fishermen's boats are intentionally damaged by the naval ships, and they have to moor their boats in some rocky places, which mostly causes irreparable damages because their docks are occupied by the navy. All we demand from government in this blue economy is a stable and secured livelihood, safety and dignity of the women of fishermen community of North Province. In Chundikulam, a bird sanctuary was established in 1934, spanning over 24,000 acres. Post-war, in 2012 July 22nd, the government declared it as a national park, adding another 24,000 acres of habituated land. On the pretext of national park, the Sri Lankan government has captured this 48,000 acres of land, which includes the villages A430, 432 and A433. Southern multi-day mechanized fishing boats are plundering our seas and fishing grounds. The migrating fishing vessels owned by private companies from southern Sri Lanka use destructive fishing practices like their large Persian nets, catch even endangered species like rays and sharks. There is a sea belt of 13 kilometers till Mullayaru. The fishermen of this belt will be affected. The army have established and are running a hotel in village A434. The government is encouraging foreign companies to flourish the business in the Yal Bay area, which is a victim of massive genocide. Hello everyone present. My name is Rimalika Fernando. I would like to talk about the social and political situation of fisherwomen in Sri Lankan society. It is a fact that the women fish workers are not respected in Sri Lankan society. The women engage to sell the fish which catch by men and also produce post-harvest product from the excess fish catch and attempt to run the family with much difficulties. But due to the so-called development activities, this is also a difficult task for women to engage. Also, our children are not having due recognition and face problems to enroll education in the schools. In most of the times, the fisherwomen do not have an opportunity to become office bearers of those societies. This is the same situation in our interaction with the state or government as well, and no recognition and visible. Most women are back on land when the men have gone fishing and have to maintain the family. During this time, women do not feel safe and the children are unable to continue their education. They are devastated both from the war and tsunami. The main programs of the country's development were the tourism projects. We, the general public, are not even included in the consultation process. In the post-tsunami development process, the regulations have changed to facilitate certain forms of development close to the coastline. Fish in the sea in themselves have reduced and we do not get the catch we used to. The shore has been destroyed and the sand mining from the shore has been altered. The post-harvest activities, development work for their own economy. For all this, the government has offered us reparation for the dispossession. We are seeing the physical manifestation of the changes. You can see it in the fish in the sea, on the shore, in the weather. Technocrats sitting in AC offices do not understand the impact of their actions and how they play out on the coastline. They do not realize how the natural environmental conditions are altered and how they affect fishes like water currents, etc. Similarly, fish and fish farming sectors are changing towards intensive and destructive practices. Our government officers do not understand the subject, do not understand what is the situation. When we ask them about certain things, they dismiss us saying that we cannot understand these aspects.
The kind of issues which people have raised, I think it needs a very clear engagement from two kind of strands. So one is the tenure rights kind of an approach, because a lot of people are losing access to fishing ground, losing access to the land. Definitely, they need the support of international community, this kind of exchange across countries on the one hand, and on the other hand, they have to also see how the national instruments, legal instruments, the constitutional provisions can be used to further secure, enhance their tenure rights and their human rights.
There is a huge kind of a push by capital to find new markets and new investment opportunities, and all of a sudden the fact that 2/3 of this planet full of water, full of resources which look very tempting from a distance, that is where the move is now coming. The larger issues involved in touching the ocean have to be taken, and if as supporters of fishing communities and the fishing community leaders, we need to also now build an alliance with every citizen on this earth who is going to be on this planet, who is going to be affected by this kind of investment.
In this latest phase of neoliberalism, the refusal of expertise reflects at least two trends. First is the promotion of private commercial media. This feeds into the second trend, which is the segmentation of labor markets. We were always told that economic growth in any nation will benefit the whole nation. But from independence in each South Asian country, from that time onwards, employers have exploited existing social divisions to pay lower wages. Large-scale buyers of goods have exploited social divisions to reduce commodity prices, and hence economic growth has produced inequality and even increased inequality.
I think I'm very privileged to have been part of this tribunal, listening to different testimonies, but I must say what I have heard today, it's similar to what we're experiencing in the African continent. In the African continent, we also have land grabs that are plagued much more by extractive industries in coal mining, in uranium mining, and other minerals, to the ecological balance that infuses life to health of the planet. And for that, we need to hold those responsible for our misery, those responsible for displacements and dispossessions. I think what was important, what came out also from the testimonies, was an imagination of a future. Let's imagine that future where all of us would be happy and would be exercising our stewardship of caring for nature.
The recommendation, I would like it to be subject to the concurrence of the other members, would be make a recommendation to the government to consider minimization of the interference with the activity of the fishing folk in Sri Lanka. In the sense, if there is to be some military installation or some military activity, it's a part of the defense requirement, we can't say anything about it. But then even while creating those installations, create appropriate legal regime to make sure that they don't interfere beyond the necessity point. Second thing is, insofar as creation of the huge new ports are concerned, we have heard that it would have an adverse effect on the livelihood of the fishermen folk in these areas. They are all projects which are committed. On the other hand, if it is causing loss to the livelihood, make an assessment of the economic factors.
Today's effort, as Justice Selmeshwar rightly said, was to look at the impact and the implications squarely on socio-economic, cultural aspects. I hope today was a great experience for many of you in terms of getting to know some details of the Sri Lankan situation, but also in understanding blue economy at large. Thank you very much. I sign off. We thank all the jury members. Thank you very much for your time and your availability.